As I watched my daughter twirl in front of the mirror, her eyes sparkled with excitement and anticipation. The costume she had chosen was a vibrant blend of colors, adorned with sequins that caught the light and shimmered like stars. She had spent weeks planning this moment, imagining every detail, and now it was finally here. "Look at me, Mom, I'm going to be the best princess at the party." Her pride radiated through her smile, a pure and unfiltered joy that filled the room. I couldn't help but smile back, feeling a warmth in my heart as I admired her enthusiasm. The way she posed, adjusting her tiara, and practicing her royal wave made it clear how much this meant to her. "Yes, sweetheart, you look absolutely stunning," I replied, my voice filled with admiration. She beamed, spinning around once more, her dress flaring out like the petals of a blooming flower. But beneath her joy, I sensed a hint of tension, an undercurrent of worry. The party was just hours away, and with it, the potential for something unexpected. I could almost feel my sister's presence looming, her jealousy like a shadow ready to strike. My daughter, oblivious to the storm brewing, continued to dance around the room, lost in her world of make-believe. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that something would happen, something that could shatter this perfect moment. I took a deep breath, trying to push away my unease, focusing instead on my daughter's happiness. But as the minutes passed, I felt the knot in my stomach tightening. The clock was ticking down to the party, and with it, the possibility of my sister's interference loomed ever closer. I just hoped that today would be a day filled with magic rather than mischief. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue through the window, I could feel the tension in the air thickening. My daughter was still lost in her excitement, but I sensed the impending storm of my sister's jealousy. Just as I turned to check on her, I heard the unmistakable sound of the door creaking open. My heart sank. There stood my sister, her eyes narrowing with envy as she took in the sight of my daughter in her costume. "What a cute little princess you are," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I knew that tone all too well, the one that masked her contempt. My daughter, blissfully unaware of the undercurrents, smiled brightly at her aunt. "Thank you, I'm going to the party soon." She twirled again, the fabric of her costume swirling around her like a cloud of happiness. But my sister's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of malice. I could see it in her eyes. She was plotting something, and I felt a wave of dread wash over me. As if on cue, my sister stepped forward, a predatory glint in her demeanor. "Oh, but what if I helped you with your costume? Wouldn't it be even better?" Her voice was silk, but I could hear the venom hidden beneath. My daughter's excitement bubbled over as she nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, please," but I could see the trap being laid. Before I could intervene, my sister reached out, her fingers poised to adjust the delicate fabric of my daughter's costume. In an instant, she yanked at the hem, a fierce tug that sent sequins flying like stars bursting from the night sky. I gasped, the horror of the moment piercing through the joy of the day. My daughter's face fell, confusion replaced by shock as she stared at the torn fabric in disbelief. "What did you do?" I shouted, my heart racing with a mix of anger and despair. My sister merely chuckled, a cruel sound that echoed in the room, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. The costume, once a symbol of joy, now lay in tatters, much like my daughter's spirit in that moment. I felt my heart break for her as the laughter of onlookers outside drifted in, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding inside our home. I wanted to protect her, to shield her from the hurt that was about to wash over her. But in that moment, all I could do was watch as my sister reveled in her destruction, oblivious to the pain she was inflicting. My daughter's joy had been so easily shattered, and I felt a surge of emotion welling up inside me, a mix of anger directed at my sister and deep sorrow for my precious girl. The laughter of children outside became a haunting backdrop to my daughter's despair. As she stood there, the remnants of her costume hanging limply in her hands, tears welled up in her eyes, glistening like dewdrops in the morning light. It was a painful contrast to the vibrant joy she had radiated just moments before. Her lower lip trembled as she tried to hold back the flood of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "Why would she do this?" my daughter whispered, her voice barely audible, as if speaking the words too loudly might shatter her fragile heart even further. I wanted to rush to her, to gather her in my arms and assure her that everything would be all right, but the scene played out like a slow-motion nightmare. My sister stood at the edge, a smirk plastered across her face, feeding off the chaos she had created. I could hear the muffled laughter of the children outside, their carefree joy juxtaposed against my daughter's heartbreak, and it twisted the knife deeper into my own heart. "Look at her," one of the kids shouted, pointing at my daughter. "She's upset." The laughter grew louder, a cruel reminder of the innocence that had just been shattered. My daughter's cheeks flushed red, not from embarrassment, but from the overwhelming sting of betrayal. I could see her struggling to comprehend why her aunt, someone she looked up to, would want to hurt her so deeply. Every tear that fell from her eyes was like a dagger, piercing through my heart. I felt a surge of anger bubbling within me, a protective rage that threatened to consume me. This was not just about a costume, it was about my daughter's spirit, her joy, and the innocence of childhood that should never be tainted by such cruelty. Stop it, I wanted to scream at my sister, to unleash the full force of my fury upon her. But instead, I remained frozen, caught in a web of disbelief and sorrow as I watched my daughter's world unravel. My heart ached for her, wishing I could take her pain and replace it with the joy that was snatched away so cruelly. The laughter of the onlookers felt like a cruel reminder of her loss, echoing in the back of my mind. Each chuckle seemed to mock my daughter's tears, amplifying her hurt. I clenched my fists, feeling the heat of anger coursing through my veins. My sister had crossed a line, and the thought of her twisted satisfaction made my blood boil. "Why would you do this to me?" my daughter asked again, her voice trembling. The innocence in her question pierced me like a spear. It was a question that demanded an answer that my sister would never provide. I could see the realization dawning on my daughter, the understanding that the world was not always kind, and it shattered my heart even more. In that moment, I knew I had to do something. I had to protect her, to show her that not all family members would betray her, and that I would always stand by her side. But I also knew I needed to confront my sister, to make her understand the consequences of her actions. My daughter's tears were a call to arms, a reminder that I couldn't let this injustice go unchallenged. The day was supposed to be magical, and I would ensure it wouldn't end in despair. My daughter's spirit deserved to shine, and I was determined to help her regain that light. The anger inside me was building, a fierce tide that threatened to overflow. I felt it surging through my veins as I looked at my sister, her smug expression a constant reminder of the cruelty she had just unleashed. How could she do this? My mind raced with thoughts of confrontation, but each moment I hesitated felt like a betrayal to my daughter, who was now struggling to piece together her shattered dreams. I could see her standing there, her costume in tatters and the tears cascading down her cheeks. I wanted to scream, to let the world hear my fury, but I was also painfully aware of the onlookers, their laughter still ringing in my ears like a mocking chorus. Would they understand the depths of this moment? Would they see my daughter's pain, or would they just continue to laugh at her expense? As I took a step forward, my sister's laughter echoed in my mind, a cruel reminder that she thrived on this chaos. My fists clenched as I fought against the flood of emotions threatening to consume me. I wanted to confront her, to make her understand the gravity of her actions, but a part of me hesitated. Would it even matter? Would she care that she had torn apart my daughter's heart? The pressure inside me was mounting, an undeniable urge to protect my child from this betrayal. I took a deep breath, focusing on my daughter's tear-streaked face rather than the laughter outside. She needed me now more than ever. I couldn't let my sister's actions go unchecked. I had to stand up for my daughter, to show her that she was worthy of love and respect, not cruelty. "You did this on purpose, didn't you?" I finally managed to utter, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. My sister turned to me, surprise flickering across her face, but it was quickly replaced by a smirk. "What's the big deal?" "It's just a costume," she replied dismissively, her tone dripping with disdain. "Kids cry all the time, she'll get over it." I felt my blood boil. How could she be so callous? This wasn't just about a costume. It was about my daughter's spirit, her innocence, and her belief in the goodness of family. "You think this is nothing?" I shot back, my voice rising. "You've just ruined her day, her moment. She was so excited, and you took that away from her." My sister crossed her arms, her defiance only fueling my anger. "You're overreacting. She'll be fine. Kids are resilient." Resilient? I wanted to laugh bitterly at her ignorance. I knew my daughter better than that. She was not just some child who would bounce back easily from this betrayal. This was going to leave a mark, a wound that would take time to heal. The need for confrontation consumed me. I couldn't let my sister's actions go unchallenged. It was time to stand my ground. "This isn't okay. You need to apologize to her, now." My sister raised an eyebrow, clearly amused by my demand. Apologize for what? For being honest. Her laughter was like a knife twisting in my gut. I took a step closer, my resolve hardening. For hurting her, for tearing her costume and her joy apart. "You need to understand that actions have consequences, and you can't just treat her like this and think it's fine." As I spoke, I could see my daughter in the corner of my eye, her small frame still trembling with the weight of the moment. I couldn't let her witness this twisted game any longer. "You think it's funny to hurt family, to make them cry?" I pressed on, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "You need to take responsibility for what you've done. She deserves better from you. We all do." The tension in the room thickened, the air heavy with unsaid words and emotions. My sister's facade began to crack, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Maybe, just maybe, she would realize the gravity of her actions. but even as I stood there, ready to confront her fully, I knew that the fight for my daughter's spirit was far from over. This moment was just the beginning of a battle that would require every ounce of strength I had. I would not let my daughter's light be extinguished by the darkness of my sister's jealousy. She deserved so much more, and I would fight for it. The air in the room crackled with tension as I faced my sister, my heart racing with the intensity of my emotions. I could feel my daughter's pain radiating from her, a palpable force that fueled my anger. My sister's laughter had died down, replaced by a silence that hung heavily between us. I took a step closer, my voice steady but laced with the fury I could no longer contain. You need to take responsibility for what you've done. You can't just hurt her and think it's okay. My sister rolled her eyes, but the smirk that had adorned her face began to fade. It's just a costume, for heaven's sake. Kids cry over everything. She'll get over it. No. This isn't just about a costume. It's about the joy you've ripped away from her, the trust she placed in you as her aunt. I was shouting now, my heart pounding in my chest. I could see my daughter still standing there with tears streaking down her cheeks, her little hands clutching the remnants of her dress. The sight of her sorrow ignited a fire within me, one that demanded justice for her innocence. You think it's funny to hurt family, to make them cry? I pressed on, my voice steady. You need to apologize to her. Now, I stepped even closer, the space between us shrinking as I refused to back down. My sister's defiance was palpable, but I could see a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to understand the gravity of her actions. I'm not apologizing for being honest, and you can't make me, she retorted, her bravado faltering slightly. I took a deep breath, steadying my resolve. Honesty doesn't come at the cost of someone else's happiness. You don't get to destroy a child's spirit and call it honesty. You owe her an apology, and you owe it to yourself to realize how wrong this is. I felt empowered as I spoke, every word a step toward reclaiming my daughter's joy. The silence stretched on as my sister's expression shifted from defiance to contemplation. I could see her weighing the consequences of her actions, the realization of the hurt she had caused finally beginning to seep in. Look at her, I gestured to my daughter, whose small frame was still shaking with the weight of the moment. She's hurting because of you. You need to fix this. For a moment, the world outside faded away, the laughter of the children no longer a haunting backdrop, but a distant memory. My focus was solely on my sister, on breaking through the wall of jealousy that had driven her to this point. The tension in the room was suffocating, but I held my ground, refusing to let my daughter's heartbreak go unchallenged. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, my sister's expression softened. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she muttered, the bravado slipping from her voice. I just wanted to show her. Show her what? That family can hurt. That jealousy can destroy, I pressed, not letting her off the hook. You need to apologize to her and make this right. Her gaze shifted to my daughter, and I could see the gears turning in her mind. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. I'm sorry, sweetie, she finally said, her tone less defensive and more sincere. I didn't mean to ruin your costume. I just wanted to help. I was wrong. I'm really sorry. My daughter's tears continued to flow, but there was a glimmer of something else in her eyes, hope. She took a tentative step toward her aunt, her little heart still open to forgiveness. It's okay, Auntie. I just wanted to be a princess. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter outside faded further, and the tension that had filled the room began to dissipate. My sister knelt down, embracing my daughter gently, the bond of family slowly starting to mend. I watched the scene unfold, my heart swelling with a sense of relief. My daughter was resilient, and despite the heartache, she was willing to forgive. It was a lesson in trust, in recognizing that family can be flawed but still be worthy of love. As I stood there, watching my daughter and my sister begin to bridge the gap, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I would always stand up for my daughter, protect her spirit from the darkness of jealousy, and teach her that love could triumph over betrayal. In the end, my sister's actions would serve as a lesson, a stark reminder of the importance of kindness and the impact of our choices on those we love. Today may have started in chaos, but it was ending with the promise of healing and understanding. I turned to my daughter, her smile slowly returning, and I knew that together we would overcome this. I would make sure that she always remembered the magic of being a princess, no matter the trials we faced. And as I held her tightly, I whispered, "You are a true princess, and nothing can ever change that." As the sun set and the laughter of children returned, I realized that life is a tapestry of moments, both good and bad. What mattered was how we chose to respond, how we built each other up after moments of